No, for all those years I did appointments at 6:15. I just, it was in my brain, 6:15.
Oh, sure. The first one that you, yes, you would have been the one.
The slowest minute ever.
Yeah. That's all. Unless you're not quite ready, then
Right.
it goes fast.
Okay, it is 6:00. So we're going to call the meeting to order. JJ is attending the meeting electronically from Florida, and Josh is on an excused absence. He just wasn't able to make it home tonight in time. So with that, we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Kelly's going to give us the Board of Equalization oath.
Yes, so I need everyone to raise, commissioners to raise their right hand,
All right.
and you will repeat after me. I,
All right.
and that's your name, Terry.
Steve Holland.
Jay Walden.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that we will fairly
That we will bear
favorably
and impartially
and impartially
perform the duties
perform the duties
enjoined upon us
enjoined upon us
by the law,
by the
by the
law
law
members
as members
of the Pine Fork County Board of Equalization
of equalization
equalization.
for the assessment year 2024.
For the
for the assessment year 2024.
Perfect, thank you.
And now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Lori. Okay.
Hi. So the first thing we're gonna do is I've got the certification form, so I need you each to sign it, check that you are present, and make sure that I've checked it correctly that you're trained. We'll pass that down.
Here, so check that. And then you sign.
Did I check it
Yep, you're good.
here?
No, over here. Right by my finger. Yep, there you go.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, JJ.
yeah, how would is there a e-sign or is that just a technicality for myself?
No, that's just a technicality. I've checked that you're present and I said virtual attendance.
Okay, thank you.
We're good for you, DJ.
All right.
Okay, thanks for asking.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Okay, so again, my name is Lori Houtsma, the Pine County Assessor. We are here at the County Board of Appeal and Equalization for the 2024 assessment. It equals your taxes payable in 2025. The purpose of this meeting is to provide a fair and objective forum for property owners to appeal their valuation and/or classification. The duties of the board is to address owners' issues efficiently, fairly, and objectively. It is assumed the assessor has properly valued and classified all property. The burden of proof rests with the property owner. We do mass appraisal. Properties are physically reviewed once every 5 years. The exception to this would be at an owner's request or if there's new construction on the property. Qualifying sales that fall between October 1st of 2022 and September 30th of 2023 determines the 2024 assessed values. We use sales ratios. How do we come up with the sales ratio? It's our estimated market value divided by the sales price. There are sales study groupings. Those are set by the Department of Revenue, and our values in the end must fall into a median sales ratio of 90 to 105%. We'll take a look at what's happened now this past year. This shows you where we've started with our preliminary median sales ratio for different property types and where we ended with our final median ratio after I was done setting values. So with apartments, we were at 100.13%. And that's just right where we stayed. Commercial properties, we started at 87.50%. And when we were done, we were at 96.11%. Then we come down to our residential and seasonal properties. I have to break it down as combined, and then we break it down off water and on water. Combined, we're looking much better this year. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when you're saying we were at 88.47%.
Yes.
So was that based against this year's stuff? Or when you assessed it at the time, were you that low?
It's where we basically ended last year.
Yeah, so it was that assessment was the year prior.
Right.
So
Right.
it's growth is what we're seeing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. We are still seeing an increasing market. But when you look through here, and we can go through 88, 86, 95, and then where I ended, basically a little over 94%. For our residential and seasonal properties. And then when you look at land, the bottom two, we're at 93.97 and we ended up at 94.66 and 92.62. We're ending up at 95.26. Last year at this time, those preliminary median ratios were all in the upper 60s or lower 70s. So you can tell, even though we are still bringing those values up, what saw the biggest increase this year were residential or seasonal properties off water. They were still seeing increases more than all other types. When you look at these bottom two, the land, when we're looking at more than 34.5 acres with or without improvements, you saw very little jumps in the value. And what the biggest difference was were residential and seasonal properties on water. We actually came down just a smidge on those. So that's where we started, 3 years ago, the properties on water. We saw those huge increases right away. And then it moved on to our land values. And now we're seeing residential properties that are off water. It took longer for things to sell, but they were still selling for more than our value. So this is what this shows. We also have our coefficient of dispersion and our price related differential. When you look at these numbers, we look good here. And let me explain to you what those mean. The coefficient of dispersion is the statistical measurement that measures the sales ratios which fall above and below the median ratio used in setting values. Typically, anything between 10 and 15 is good uniformity. Anything less than 10 is excellent. So when we come back here and we take a look at our what we call our CODs, we're looking very good, right in between 11 and 15%. Price-related differentials, they're all just about 1% there. It's the method used to ensuring lower valued properties and higher valued properties are valued similarly. We should fall somewhere between 93 and 1.03 to assure uniform assessments, and we're right where we need to be. So that's what I have. Like I said, we're still seeing increases, but not like what we have in the last few years. So now we're ready for appointments, and we do have one appointment.
Matt is saying that he likes the way that you explained it, that you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. So, and we just have the one appointment and he was set for 6:15, so we are running a little early. I don't know, Madam Chair, if we want to skip ahead and do the assessor recommendations to G.
We
Yeah,
sure
let's
could.
do that.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So the recommendations were emailed earlier to you by Dave, but I have copies here. Sure, sure. Pass it. No.
I looked at them at home, but I didn't print out a copy.
I have one.
Again, a comparison from last year, we had 70 plus recommendations last year. This year we're down to 6, so you can see what's going on. And JJ, did you get that from Dave earlier today? Do you
Yes,
have-
I did.
How did we end up so high on some of those, like?
Well, as you can tell by looking at this, again, when we aren't able to do an interior review, and the values are increasing, they appeal their value at the local board level, or maybe it's an open book. We come out, we are able to get in to see what's going on the inside. Because like I've always said, your inside is as important as what we see on the outside. And so after their reviews, their interiors, then the value comes down.
Not always.
Not, well, not always, no,
Sometimes they
but
do.
on these, this is one year that they've all had decreases. You've seen in past years where we've seen increases.
Right.
And so we always make sure that we tell everyone, we just want to assure that our data that we've got is correct. That doesn't mean that your value is gonna come down, but it will make sure that your value is sitting where it should.
But like
This year it just
the
happened to
land
be-
one surprises me, cause isn't that in plain sight for whoever's looking at it?
Well, that was a little bit of an odd situation, the way that land is set up. It doesn't actually. Are you talking about the one on the river? Which one did you say?
The craft one, yeah, I think that's on the same.
Third one down.
Yeah, that parcel sits alone on the river, but it's my understanding it's not a buildable lot, which we
Yeah.
did not know ahead of time.
Yeah, cause,
So-
you go out
Cause
there,
of setbacks
you,
and stuff?
well, you go out there and it looks like decent land, however, the property is primarily all floodway, which ordinance would not allow it to be built on.
Right.
But when you're standing there, you would really probably never know.
Right. So because it was on the river, that value came down
That data
substantially.
when we do the assessment.
What was
Right.
that? Yes. On that one, I know that the site was removed. So that's your first acre basically that always has a higher value. So that was removed because in order to have a full site, the parcel has to be accessible and most likely buildable. And then when you take one of those away, it drops the value.
On the one you have for corrected square footage, how do you come up with the wrong square footage, like on that one?
Yeah, so that, we went out for the review, I didn't specifically ask that value drop was so minute. Maybe it was a rounding, I'm not sure, but when they went out to measure the house and do the interior of that appointment, that's what Kim put on there. So like I said, we could have had it could just be a rounding, because $3,100 in value is what it came down. That's not much
Mhm.
in the overall.
Does Tyler allow you to put in like 12 feet, 6 inches? Okay,
No,
sounds good.
no,
But
we
it
have to round.
It could have been something like the previous appraiser looked at 12 foot, 5 inches as 13 inches.
Right.
Where technically that should have been.
And that could very well be because I used to do the city of Sandstone and Kim does it now. And I would go in and I would see that it would be slightly different than what I had. Well, yes, it's all how you look at that rounding.
Mhm.
Or it could have been, and I don't have Kim here to ask, but once she got in, she was able to get a good measurement of the garage because this is a duplex. So if she's not, that would be my guess, is that maybe it angled in slightly and then it changed.
You can see so much more when you actually get inside the house to make sure that you have a good assessment. than
Especially with the garages.
than trying to guess. Otherwise, it's, yeah, important that people let them in there. So can we move on these now?
I would think so.
I would make a motion to accept the. What's the correct wording? Accept the recommendations of the assessing team.
I'll second.
Thank you.
And Kelly, I didn't know if you needed the total, but
Nah.
no, okay.
Good. A motion by Steve and a second by Matt. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, would we, if there's an appointment, for someone to show up, want to just wait till after the appointment time, just to,
This is a separate issue, so we'll still be waiting for Tom to
Yeah.
show
oh, I
up.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tom is on the list, but I think that way, by doing it this way, this is done for sure, and then if,
Then
Yeah,
if he has anything extra, he still has
right.
his appointment, his time, in case there's another property or something or a different concern.
So,
Yes.
well,
Okay.
he's here to appeal the value of this property in Sandstone now. So we went out, he appealed, in writing, I believe, at the time of the local board meeting. We went out, we did our review, the value came down slightly, down to 288,000. And he felt that it needed to come down more, and so that's why he's coming tonight
Okay.
for this property.
So this motion will be to make the change that's being recommended, but if Tom shows up, then he'll still have a chance to
Yes.
discuss it. I want to say that I went to Board of Review this year just to watch, and I had Molly and Troy there. And one of mine is John and Deb Moffett, who went and they're no longer using, they no longer have a
Commercial meat processing.
the processing plant, yeah. And I just, you know, the way that they were talked to and the way that they were handled by the staff from the assessor's office was really great. I mean, they communicated very well. You're right, they did talk to a gentleman and said, you know, if we go out there, it doesn't mean that we're gonna reduce your value. It may increase your value. There were no questions when you left, you know, you knew exactly what was going on. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
they
because,
did a great job.
well, thanks.
Okay, okay.
are we ready to vote?
I guess I'll shut up. Okay, yeah.
only
Kelly,
have
would
a
you do
motion
a roll
and a
call,
second.
please?
All right,
Yeah.
Matt,
Aye.
Just that's the portion.
Steve,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
JJ.
Yes.
That was my discussion on it.
Hey, I wanted to let you know too, so Troy brought it up for me. I was correct in the reason for the value drop was once they were able to get in, they could measure the garage, and that was the change.
As previously they had it as part of the house.
Right, it was just, you know, rectangular, but once we could get in, we could see that it jogged a little bit. So that was the reason.
Thank you, Troy. How long do we want to give Tom?
Well, I spoke to him on Friday afternoon or Friday morning. So he said, we'll see you. And he knew it was at 6:15.
Okay,
I would think 6:30.
Yeah.
okay.
I had a question, but it's not really related to this, but it is.
Okay.
You know, the overall, sales, are there, I take it they're not quite as robust as they were?
No, but they weren't that far behind the year before,
Like the number of sales?
the number of sales. Yeah. But now, I mean, someone just recently told me there's very few out there. I really think we've run out of inventory.
Well, rates are high too now.
And the rates are high. That's a big part of it. Mortgage interest rates are high. So it's slowing things down. Still is quite shocking though, when we look at our land sales, what people are continuing to pay for land up here. So it'll be interesting to see now, because we're already more than halfway through our next sales study, what we'll be seeing next year.
So JJ, I don't know if you can see the room or not, but just, you know, there's absolutely nobody here this year. Remember last year, there were a lot of people that were here and were questioning it. This year, there's nobody has attended. So just, I don't think you can see the room, so I thought I'd share that with you.
I have a question for Kelly. So how about building compared to a year ago, new construction?
Right, and so that seems very comparable to where we were a year ago. The number of permits and things that we've issued. The actual projects getting done are a different story though, because of all the rain.
Well, that's,
What?
so we,
The projects actually getting done have been very delayed with all the rain.
Oh, yeah.
So we're doing very few, like mound septic installs and, really like completions of buildings. It's been very minimal because people just can't be out there working.
so how many building permits would you say that we're getting?
We probably have 100 out there that we've issued, which is very similar to where we were last year. Not necessarily like brand new houses, but just new things that people are building, yeah. And I think we're at about 45 septic permits, which is again comparable to last year. It's just interesting because last year it was so dry that they were going like gangbusters getting those septic systems in. And so far this year, I think we've put in 1 or 2 mounds because it's just too wet. So they're getting holding tanks in, they're getting
Compaction.
in-ground systems in. But there's not a lot of places in Pine County you can put an in-ground system either.
It's interesting that we've had that many, because at all the meetings I've been at just recently, they've all said that nobody's doing any building in the other counties. It's just really because inflation is so high and the interest rates and it stopped. So it's interesting to hear that we're moving on.
Yeah.
And those are just the permits from Kelly, so, you know, every
That's still
township.
townships, yeah.
Right. Or like Pokegama that does their own shoreline too. And Windermere does their own shoreline, so I don't know what they've got for numbers, but.
Right.
Windermere has, their zoning person gave it up, Dennis General.
Yes.
So have you heard if he's gotten someone? if
There
they've got
is a
someone?
gentleman filling in temporarily.
Dennis quit in Windermere?
Yeah, he retired.
Really?
Yeah, so Aaron sent out a new list of zoning people last week and the new gentleman's name is. on
Oh, it
there.
is. I didn't, yeah, I didn't look at that.
How many townships is the county assessing now? How many did we, I know we gained a couple, right?
We picked them, I picked them up, all of them up.
We have all of them now?
We just, yes, got our last one.
Ooh, when did that last one?
May
I know, I see.
First.
I wasn't counting, I guess.
May 1st,
That's what I.
yeah. So, it's,
Since we have a few minutes, maybe I'll send down the oath. So we took the oath at the beginning of the meeting, and so we'll just have you sign that you took the oath. Again, JJ, I noted that you are virtually attending on it, so you won't be signing, but I note that you're here.
All right, thank you, Kelly.
There.
Has to be in blue.
Right.
So Kelly, I sent an email earlier. There's a property down there on, was it Snake River Drive that had caved in, and they got orders from their insurance company to rebuild. But there's some issue with and I heard you mention floodway in this meeting here. Did you get that email? I guess I was just looking for information of the permitting process for those people now, or what kind of holdups there is.
Did you send that email to me or Mike or recall seeing it?
Yeah, I believe I sent it to you. Said, to Mike, maybe he had sent it to you. Yeah, it's 11659 Snake River Drive, that the roof collapsed due to excessive snowfall.
Can you give me that house number again? 11659.
Yeah, 11659 Snake River Drive. I can give you the parcel ID even if that'd be okay. You ready? 28.5223.000.
6.
So that's in Pokegama Township. So the only jurisdiction we have there is flood. jurisdiction, otherwise the rest of the permitting's all through the township. But
Oh.
let's hold up here to see if there's a flood situation. If it's on the river, it probably does have some sort of flooding.
Well, I guess, just the way, and I apologize to the rest of the board and everybody if this is not the time to talk about this, but just tell me so and we can talk about it later. But if we're just sitting here waiting and have everybody in the room, it seems to me, I have a hard time understanding that the structure of this house could be there for 40, 50 years, survived the 500-year flood, survived the 100-year flood. They have documentation of pictures that was never flooded, and it actually gets destroyed by snow collapse, which is, this is unfortunate as a flood. And then now it sounds like the county, being, us, is not letting them rebuild due to a floodway. I
No.
mean, where it just, in my mind, maybe then nobody should rebuild because of the heavy snowfall, because that's actually what took the property out. It had nothing to do with flooding. So I guess I'm just looking for information on what, if the only concern is the flooding, and then, history speaks for itself. It survived, two major flood events, and it's kind of a shame not being able to rebuild when the insurance company, of all people, they have a pretty good head on their shoulders usually when it comes to, time for figuring what can and can't be built and how it can be built. And
We wouldn't, would we have something to do with that?
Yeah, so our floodplain ordinance would apply because it is floodway. I just was looking for in the
yeah,
flood.
maybe Matt had heard something with, with his involvement with zoning or anything, but it's just when you just lay it all out on the table and look at it, wow, the cabin is this old, whatever, 40, 50, 60 years. Okay. Survived the 2012 flood, survived the other one. One I always hear referred to as a 500-year flood, and one is a 100-year flood. Okay. Not a problem. You have actual pictures, date and time stamps at the same day that was record water elevation. Okay. Maybe there's just an oversight here or a mistake, and it was destroyed due to snowfall, not a flood. It is how I understand it. I just wanted to get more information from you guys, Kelly, you and Mike, and then talk with the homeowner again and the contractor again, and just see what, maybe there was just an oversight here of something. Just, maybe
Just reading in the ordinance here.
but I guess you'd probably have to. I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and
Yep.
Maybe you'll have to pull the permit later or whatever and see, and if it was denied and if they had a chance for a variance. But again, I just look at things a little differently. I guess it didn't flood,
Sure.
collapse because of snow.
I will.
Claim they have all the documentation, and they've already have enough of a hardship. First of all, losing your place, but then 2 years for the insurance to finally decide, and then now this. I'm just trying to follow up for them right out there.
Sounds good. So I will research and follow back up with you, JJ.
All right, thank you so much.
See that other bear?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
This, oh yeah, I'll show you. I'll blow it up. This is out east of our place.
You go bear hunting? You go bear hunting?
I did shot two, but I'll never shoot them.
Oh.
They're not fun to hunt.
Oh.
They kind of fool you. They're clowny and they beat you every time. They're almost like ghosts. They're really something.
Janet McNally, Leo's wife, she had her sheep up at her place. And she said the dogs were going, crazy. She was setting up fence and doing all this stuff out there, working out there, and all of a sudden she caught a whiff and she was, it was right on the other side of the trees watching her this whole time. And she's like, time to go. Yeah. They are.
Look at you like, what are you gonna do?
They're not afraid of people anymore either.
That story about bear and it's at that lady's house in the Cedar and the Meadows out there,
No.
71. They found her dead. And they thought that the bear came after, her, you know, since they did a phone, but the bear killed her.
In the office tomorrow.
And her daughter.
Are you
She
gonna
said,
do
yeah,
something
she
for
was
the call
calming.
on
She
Wednesday?
said that she was trying to beat it out away from the windows a few times with the broom. Before
It's gonna see that.
it's so tough.
Oh,
Quite a.
did it go in her house?
Yeah,
Did
just
it-
went house. Ate her. Actually ate her.
Okay, we can adjourn the meeting.
Oh, do you
It's-
need to call?
It's, no, it's 6:30. His appointment was for 6:15. And he is not here, so. Do we need a motion? Wanna make-
But like, I got a question for you,
Yep,
just because I don't know, so I'll ask. Like public forum, you're given what, like 3 minutes at the beginning of our regular meetings, right?
right.
Yeah, so what do you usually give for this?
Or if.
15 minutes? It's
he
50 minutes.
If he
Gotcha.
can, JJ,
Yeah.
we were gonna do 5 minutes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So what would have happened would be he would talk to us about what his thoughts were and why he came up with the number that he came up with. And then Lori and Troy would have talked about how his assessment was done and the sales and all that type of stuff on his property. And then we would talk about it and come up with our decision. So,
Okay.
yeah. Yep. So,
I'll move.
thank you, Matt.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All those in favor say aye.
We
Alright,
we need to do a roll call if we're gonna do
Roll
it.
call.
Sorry.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Alright.
District 1, Commissioner Han.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. Aye. District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, everybody have a good night and thanks for coming and enjoy Florida. We'll see you in the morning.
Yep.